Hey everyone, it's Will, Gamerdad, with another video for you. So now that things are a little bit quiet in terms of the update, I wanted to revisit my account and showcase what I have so far, and just my progress through the game, as well as how much I've spent in terms of, chance or other things. Now if you haven't already, please like and subscribe to my channel, I really appreciate it. I also do have a Patreon account for those who want to support me this way. So we're just going to scroll through my roster, and you can clearly see I do have 104 characters. Keep in mind that AS characters don't count towards the total, but 104 different characters. And first we're going to sort by level here. So you can see my 5-star, and later on I'll show you the light and shadow so you can see which ones I actually pulled and which ones I had to upgrade from scratch. In total, I do have 25 5 stars that I have pulled so far in this game. And for those who have been following, I believe I have summoned 617 total times. That's including free Whispers of Time, Sprinkles of Salt, of course, free 10 pulls from anniversaries, any gifts, and so on and so forth. And you can also see my Chronostone total that I still have moving forward. Note that I didn't upgrade some of my 4 stars that can become AS. And there you see Foreign, which we'll have in the 5-star AS version much later. I'm really looking forward to having her on my team, being that my water team is quite lacking, which you'll probably see very shortly. And I have complained about that in the past. And here's my full roster of robots, soldiers, and Rainbow Sisters. Well, if only one of them will be upgraded, which is Bria, that will help a lot in the future. Okay, so we're going to sort by light here. So with Suzette, you can see I've duped her a couple of times. I actually used a bunch of Guiding Light Lance on her as well. And I've grinded a number of different story characters as well. Akane, of course, is just the 4-star version. And with a lot of the 5s, you can see I pulled a couple of 4.5s. It's actually kind of sad that a lot of my 4 stars beat out even some of my 5-star characters in terms of the amount of light, which only shows a testament as to how many single pulls we've gotten of those Rainbow Sisters, or even these 3.5 stars on the 4-star characters, which are not upgradable. Note that Mighty, I still have not pulled a 5-star version of him, only 2 4 stars. Serene, of course, comes with a natural 4, and we just added 1 light to unlock the first milestone to get his bonus. Nagi, of course, I duped 4 times, which is my Shadow Pillar. And you can see the rest of my Shadow team, most of which I've only pulled once. Some of the free characters, of course. And Galliard you can upgrade and grind as well. I do hope that he does get a 5-star in the future, because his Thunderbolt move is actually quite sweet and is very usable, especially against super bosses. Right now he's a little bit slow, so I don't really like that as well. Now, in terms of my AS characters, I only do have the 2. I don't count AS Saki because she doesn't have a 5-star regular version. So I do have Tuva, which I upgraded myself. As well, I upgraded Nagi I did pull, so I didn't have to upgrade her. I have a lot of Tentamere treatises, which will be coming to use when I do finally get her upgraded Grasta as well. And those are only for, of course, people who have finished Eastern Region Part 2. Now let's bring up the other menu here. So I'm just going to bring up a list of my weapons, and you can just see the progress I've made with either getting them in terms of fighting super bosses, or some of the other lands, or even Cruel Angel or Total Dreamland, the ones you have to upgrade, some of the Eastern region ones. If you're wondering why I don't have everything at plus 10, even though it seems like I do play a lot, frankly speaking, some of the grind can be a little tedious, and so I only upgraded some of the ones that I use more to level 10. For example, the Fire Spirit Sword looked cool, so I wanted to have it at plus 10. Nightwing Saber is one I was kind of working on and kind of ran out of materials. Use Little Glitter, and of course the rest of those weapons. Now, just a reminder, for those who kind of have sped through the game or started later than I did, keep in mind that I did start in the very first week of Global, so I've been playing since the very beginning, and so have a slight advantage in terms of maybe collecting more stones than you all. The main thing is make sure you go back and get one of each weapon at least, especially if you skip multiple levels and didn't go to some of the easier hard or very hard dungeons. Now the reason for that is that later on you'll see my badges that I have unlocked in terms of gold, silver, and bronze, and you get a lot of rewards for hitting milestones in the 25 or 30 different types of axes, for example, or types of bracelets, so on and so forth. And you actually have a milestone at 40 different types as well. So the more different types you have, the more rewards you unlock. And so for all of us, especially at the end game, if you are running out of stones, this is a perfect way to kind of grind out some of those less commonly done achievements and get those. Now, another way to get some more stones, of course, is to make sure you kill 100 of each of different mobs. Some of those are a little bit easier than others, especially if you do another dungeon where you'll go over them over and over again and you'll kill 100 each mob. Garrelia, for example, is a perfect example of hitting different areas in the eastern region and eventually killing 100 of everything. Now, if you do want to upgrade some of the weapons, of course, you'll still have to do the overland and get all the materials and shinies that way. So that's a little bit more tedious. But otherwise, you can do that. You can see some of the total Dreamland gear is still very relevant even in today. For example, the Dream Ring, which you'll see later in my inventory, is a speedy ring that helps any slower mage get as fast as you can. So you can put it on people like Mariel if you want her to act first, or even Mana against some of the tougher bosses in the game. And you can see my hammers there. Not many really great hammer users. I know that Melina and Melina AS is not bad, but since I don't have them, I really don't have much use for the hammer. Let me know in the comments below how you guys are doing with your inventory and whether or not you feel that is mine equal to yours, better, worse? Could be any of those actually. Now that fabricated bracelet, I don't even know where that came from, to be honest. Some of this gear, I've obviously played the game since the beginning, and I honestly cannot remember where some of the gear came from. Some of the more recent gear, of course, I do remember. And for those who haven't done Otherlands hard, not the very hard version, but the hard version, there are actually pieces of gear that you can craft as armor. They're like level 52, and they do have good stats, especially if you're still just in the early stages of the game, being that they can actually beat a lot of the level 48 armor you get before the end of the main story, that is up to chapter 25. And so it's worth it to grind a few times in Otherlands if you really, really need to. And my advice, even though you don't really want to use your green keys anymore in Otherlands very hard, first of all, at least completing it once will give you, again, another achievement which will unlock some badges in terms of your reward medals. And you also get a few stones. But keep in mind, you do get to craft the weapon at least once. Now here are my badges in terms of speed, strength, and so on and so forth. You can see that Power Spirit one is one of my nicer ones, and some of these other cool ones in the high 20s are very, very useful. I like that Int Speed badge because even though the Int isn't that high, the Speed plus 11 is very useful for a slow mage such as Garyu. And of course his AS form in Garyu is a lot faster. My best speed badge is a plus 25, which you clearly see it's on Mariel, and my next one is plus 23 on Mana, and that really helps with a lot of bosses. And so I try to show you the equipment and loadout that I do when I do fight super bosses, and I hope that you guys can use that in your strategies when taking on bosses yourself. Okay, so just going down the list, I find that in this case, a lot of the high teens and low 20s I have just kept, and I know you can recycle a lot of these badges at the Nilva area to get a rare chance of getting things like, Luring Shadow or Lance, or even Chant Scripts. However, I like to keep any high teens one just in case. Now, I'm sure all of you want to see what I have stocked up in terms of memoirs. And so tons and tons of murmurs and prayers, and of course 50 something chant scripts. And I know we've had some discussions on my videos as to why I haven't upgraded a lot of the characters yet. The main reason isn't because of any particular reason at all. It's just that I haven't found any particular need to upgrade those characters, and so as a result, just frankly speaking, being a little bit lazy, and honestly hoping against hope that I pull these characters first instead of upgrading them using chance. Keep in mind I do have about 7,000 stones, and I am planning to pull on Mumpha, which is coming up in a couple weeks. So it's similar to how your strategy would be for having a Star Dreams token. You don't want to use it until the very end when the Star Dream is almost expired, because the reason for that is if you pull the character ahead of time, then that's a waste of a Star Dream. Now, for the same reason, I don't want to upgrade any characters until much needed, or for example, if a manifest weapon battle comes up and I don't have that character at 5-star, I will definitely do that. I also would love to pull some more 4.5s to upgrade. You can see with my roster, I did have Hozuki and Dewey, and I'm planning to upgrade Dewey shortly. I haven't done it yet, again, because even with him on my water DPS team, I don't think I can beat that Rolling Raccoon Eastern Region Part 2 one. Only because I just don't want to do a 60-turn Galliard Thunderbolt in the air, try to avoid his move, and so on and so forth. And I know someone did do that with free characters, but again, I mean, I'm not that great at the game. I'm pretty good, but I don't think I'm at that high level where you're just using free characters for everything. Now here's another area that I'm sure you guys wanted to see in terms of the amount of Grasta I had. A lot of these Grasta haven't been upgraded. Frankly speaking, I don't have enough Jadites to use. And you can see the Power of Agony has been upgraded for use in Suzette in the future. I have not changed up my loadout yet because, frankly speaking, again, just using the 30-20-20 is enough to beat most of the bosses in the game. I should really optimize some of my characters, and you can see even with my equipment, I have multiples of some equipment, but I haven't really moved around anything for some of my lesser used characters. Now, if I put them in against certain bosses or whatever, I will re-optimize the characters and their gear. But most of my Grasta have already been equipped on my useful 5-star team, and of course anything that I don't use in certain 5 stars, I try not to put any more resources towards that. Now, with the advent of having Garrelia Antiquity Dungeon, we do have an overflow of Git, being that those gold lumps each sell for 100k Git, which actually does replenish my coffers quite nicely. And so I do have over 30 million Git, whereas before Antiquity came out, I think I was running in the low 10 millions. And so, even though 10 million sounds like a lot, you can easily run out of that when you pay a couple 100,000 Git each time to upgrade your Grasta. Now, some of these new support Grasta, I really haven't found use for it, so let me know in the comments below if you guys are using those support Grasta to either unlock certain abilities or have that resistance debuff chance reduced. I just don't find that very useful. Now, this part is really useful where you can do these enhanced VC Grasta. And you can see the end result with all the Git and Chronostones I have there. Now, I'm just going to bring up my awards list as well. So you can see the number of gold, silver, and bronze badges. So if you compare mine, for example, to yours, keep in mind that most gold badges do award at least 50 stones. Silvers give 20, and usually bronze gives 10. So lots of stones to still grind. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.